Hey class, this is my assessment to submission for 3D printing for creatives. Originally I decided to work with metal, but since I saw the new printers I was pretty interested in giving them a whirl, so I decided I was going to do a 3D printed drone. If possible, I'd prefer for it to be like a unibody design, so printed all in one, since the printers are capable of doing something quite large, but if need be I can compartmentalize the pieces and put it together later. So this is me trying to figure out what the drone might look like to begin with. I decided I wanted to use the simulation settings within Fusion to try and optimize the shape of the drone as best as possible. And I was just trying to figure out which shape would work best to be put into the simulation study, and I found out it can be quite touchy about what it will and won't take. I finally came up with this design which it was agreeing with, and then I went through the process of using the optimization, so setting all the forces and all the constraints and loads and whatnot, and the parameters for that simulation. And here I got some interesting results. So as I went through, I was sort of screenshotting each result, and I was going to use this as sort of design cues. So I've chucked up on the right here sort of design cues for putting together my own interpretation of that design. So later on I take the mesh from the simulation and just chuck it straight into a 3D printer just to see if that'll work. I think that's a really interesting case study to see if you can just take a mesh and print it straight away. If it is possible, I might try and do one drone where I've sort of done a design interpretation of the simulation, and one where it's just a straight mesh. So yeah, this is me just going through doing cross sections and checking out what it looks like from the inside when I apply different forces from different angles. Obviously if you apply the same force from each angle, you're going to get a much more uniform looking body. So I've taken this into Simplify 3D and I'm just cleaning it up, trying to make it 3D printable. You'll see at the front there's some pretty wonky looking front legs, so I tried printing them, but they immediately died on the front end, as you can see as it's going through the print there. But I just left it to run so I could see what would happen up the top, because I had a feeling it would come good eventually. Especially if you just up the cooling, it'll bridge some stuff and start getting it working. So towards the end I actually got a reasonably okay print, or not an okay print, but you know, usable print out of it, and you can kind of see the triangulation from the STL mesh, which is kind of cool. So from there I started doing my design interpretation of that and trying to come up with something that looked mildly aero while still taking cues from all the simulation studies I'd done previously. And I found that using sculpt mode within Fusion was a really good way of doing this, because you could sort of, you know, tweak it a little bit and make it look a little bit nicer, obviously, because the mesh looked really edgy and kind of disgusting. So yeah, this is me just cleaning up that sculpt mode and making it into a B-rep that can then be printed. So yeah, once again going through all the Simplify 3D settings, trying to get it to print as best it can with the best structural integrity, hopefully, that I could get. And obviously once you actually go through and do some actual tweaking of the settings, you're going to get a much better result. So this came out a lot cleaner, which was sort of to be expected, I suppose. Tried to use absolutely minimal support material as usual, and these are the results. So I'm really happy with it. I think doing one of each will be really interesting to see sort of weight differences and what it's able to do. So yeah, eventually I hope to print a full drone, but this is just sort of my little test to begin with.